I knew something was wrong the moment the numbers didn't add up. The blue glow from the Excel sheet washed over my hands, cool and surgical, like it was stripping everything down to the truth. Cell D47 flickered for a half second before settling, and a tight knot formed deep inside me. My finger paused on the trackpad. The cursor blinked in a slow, heartbeat-like rhythm, steady, steady, then a skip, like it sensed the shift before I did. I tilted my head slightly, scrolled down one row. The faint rustle of the printed budget packet beside me broke the silence. Just paper against paper. Nothing dramatic, but in an office this quiet, the smallest sound feels amplified. It echoed inside my chest, landing right where my instincts lived. I checked the totals again, then again. Still wrong. Off by just enough to make it suspicious, but not enough for someone who doesn't live in the numbers to notice. I've lived in the numbers my whole career. They don't lie to me. People do. A slow discomfort slid down my spine. Not panic, just pressure. The kind that sits low in your stomach and warns you. Something here isn't clean. I leaned forward. The screen's light draped over my face, tracing the shape of my concentration. My eyes ran down each figure, deliberate and unhurried. With every blink, the cursor kept pulsing quiet, insistent, like it was calling attention to a truth waiting under the surface. D47, D48, D49. By the time I reached D52, I felt it. Not the answer, just the wrongness. A slight shift in the communications line. A cost category nudged, right when it should have stayed still. Then an adjustment tagged in a place I never touched. My breath caught in the back of my throat. A split-second pause. Tiny, controlled. My shoulders drew upward maybe half an inch, not enough for anyone to see but enough for me to feel tension settle across the top of my back like a thin sheet of ice. That line item shouldn't exist, not under my name. Not under this budget. Not without a discussion, a thread, an audit trail, something. But it was just there, sitting, pretending to belong. I didn't click anything else, didn't expand it, didn't hunt for answers. This wasn't the moment to investigate. This was the moment to notice. The office around me hummed with the low, steady drone of the HVAC unit, a constant white noise that usually faded into the background. But right now, it felt loud, like the room itself was holding its breath with me. My laptop fan kicked on, soft but persistent. The click of my trackpad sounded sharper than normal. Every sound felt like a cue I wasn't fully reading yet. I sat back an inch. Not far, just enough to get perspective. The numbers were familiar, but the story underneath them wasn't. Then the feelings came in waves, stacked on top of one another. First, suspicion, that quiet lift of the eyebrow you don't let anyone see. Then, irritation, the kind that curls low in the chest when something doesn't respect your intelligence. Then, the one that mattered most, instinct. Pure, sharpened instinct. That inner voice every Black professional understands too well. If you speak up, you better be airtight. If you point out a flaw, you better be the one person who didn't miss a single detail. If you're going to question the system, you better have every receipt organized, time-stamped, and cross-referenced. I let that reality settle. Not bitterly. Just truthfully. My fingertips hovered above the keyboard without touching it. My thumb tapped once against my palm, a quiet, involuntary tick. I only get when something's about to shift in my world. I kept my face neutral, my breath even. No sudden movements, no big reactions. Quiet power is quiet for a reason. I just stared at the numbers, letting the blue light bathe over them, letting the wrongness bloom fully in my mind. The room felt colder, or maybe it was just the realization spreading across me, slow and deliberate. And then, as my eyes drifted back to that single, altered line, something in the pattern clicked. Marung them mot trang. I leaned closer, eyes narrowing, tracking every subtle deviation. The misalignment wasn't random, it was deliberate. Tiny decimals nudged one way, an extra zero here, a rounded figure there. Each anomaly was a whisper, a breadcrumb leading me deeper. My pulse thrummed, synchronized with the cursor's soft blink. I traced the edits with my finger on the trackpad, feeling the invisible hand that had altered these numbers. Not just carelessness, this was orchestration. The office felt smaller tonight. The dim, fluorescent lights cast long, thin shadows across my desk. The faint click of the keyboard, the subtle rustle of papers, the hum of the HVAC, all of it framed the tension like a cinematic score, a rhythm of discovery. A small bead of sweat formed at my temple, unnoticed, hidden under calm control. My jaw clenched, not in anger, but in focus. Each cell, each row, each timestamp was a piece of a puzzle someone thought I wouldn't notice. But I saw. I always saw. I opened a new tab, created a blank workbook, my shadow audit, a place to trace the hidden story, unmarked by anyone else. My fingers moved deliberately, almost reverently, dragging cells, inputting formulas, highlighting discrepancies. Each motion was precise, surgical, deliberate. Footsteps echoed faintly outside the office. I froze. No one entered. My chest tightened slightly, awareness sharpening like a knife. One wrong move, one open file, and the secrecy of the manipulations could be compromised. But I continued. Deliberate, focused. Click. Scroll. Click. Patterns emerged. Hidden edits aligned with breaks, lunches, and odd hours. Certain entries repeated with minor changes, enough to avoid immediate detection, yet consistent enough to signal intent. I leaned back slightly, letting the rhythm of discovery wash over me, the suspense building with each small, undeniable truth. Every number, every timestamp, every subtle shift was no longer just data, it was evidence. A story waiting to be told, and I was the only one who could read it. Not solved, not explained, just undeniable. A truth whispered itself to me, so subtle it almost didn't feel real. Someone touched this, and then it hit me. Someone changed these numbers. I leaned back in my chair, letting the hum of the HVAC fill the silence around me. My fingers hover over the mouse, hesitating, aware that every click could pull me deeper into something I'm not yet ready to confront. The office lights are dim tonight, the usual buzz of keyboards replaced by the quiet tap of my own keys. The Excel sheet glows in a harsh, cold blue, each cell a tiny rectangle of data demanding attention, almost accusing in its stillness. I pull up the version history. At first glance, it looks orderly rows of data, like soldiers standing at attention. But then my eyes catch the first anomaly, a change time-stamped 3 in the morning. No one works at that hour, not Marcus, not Janine, not me. My thumb brushes nervously against the edge of the trackpad, the faint click echoing in the stillness like a warning. I scroll back, row by row, hunting for patterns, small inconsistencies that could explain the mismatch. A subtle shift in formatting on one entry, a number slightly off-centered, almost imperceptible unless you're looking for it. My heartbeat quickens. I take a slow, deliberate breath, letting it out carefully so no one even in my own mind can hear the tension building. I open another tab, toggling between sheets, comparing cells. The glow from the monitor washes over my face, highlighting the tension in my jaw, the faint crease between my brows. A soft sigh escapes me as I catch another timestamp, this one during lunch, when I had just stepped out for coffee. I tap my pen against the desk, softly, a subtle drum to keep my mind focused. The edits are small, almost innocent if you didn't know what the numbers were supposed to be, but my gut tightens with each anomaly. My eyes flit to the corner of the screen, where the cursor blinks like a heartbeat, steady, relentless, impossible to ignore. I lean closer, tracing the sequence of changes with my finger on the trackpad, noting the subtle gaps, edits that don't line up with anyone's working hours. My breathing becomes shallow, almost synchronized with the cursor's pulse. I feel the weight of suspicion pressing against my chest, a quiet alert that something is off, but what, exactly, I can't say. Click. Scroll. Click. Patterns start forming. Messy. Incoherent in parts, as if someone tried to rewrite the story of the budget after the fact. My fingers stiffen on the keys, the tap of my nails against the table a nervous counterpoint to the silent hum of the office. I pause, eyes narrowing. Another edit time-stamped precisely when the night janitor passes by my floor. Random? Maybe. Suspicious? Definitely. The quiet tension coils tighter around my shoulders, a slow, insistent knot. I glance around, even though the office is empty, confirming no one else sees what I see. The Excel glow sharpens in my vision, highlighting cells that should have stayed consistent, now subtly altered. My stomach tightens, unease settling like a stone. I take another careful breath, letting my lips part slightly, feeling tension roll down my spine. Click. Scroll. Click. Each tap against the mousepad resonates with the unspoken alarm in my chest. My eyes flit back to the version history one more time. My mind races, connecting dots that might not even belong together. And then it hits me, not a conclusion. Not yet. But the unmistakable sense that someone has been here before me, moving the pieces around, leaving traces that are small, deliberate, almost playful in their subtlety. The silence stretches, broken only by the soft, calculated clicks of my investigation. My chest tightens. My gut churns with the weight of it. The audit trail wasn't just messy, it was manipulated. Deliberately. Intentionally. Maliciously. A shiver runs down my spine, not from fear but from the gravity of knowing. Someone had tried to rewrite reality under the guise of routine, leaving clues only the observant could see, and I had seen them. Be honest. What would you do if it was you sitting in that room? Drop your thoughts below, I want to hear you. The morning sun filters through the blinds, cutting thin stripes across my desk. My coffee sits untouched, cooling faster than I notice. I glance around the empty office, letting the quiet settle before I start. Something's changed. The version history, the subtle misalignments in the budget, they've planted a seed I can't ignore. I replay interactions in my head, each conversation with the team over the last few weeks. Marcus, casual as ever, leaning back in his chair with a smirk that now feels slightly rehearsed. Janine, cheerful, always quick with a joke, yet that one report she submitted last Friday, why did it take her an hour longer than usual to finalize? Small things. Trivial on their own. But stacked together they start to feel deliberate. My stomach tightens with the realization. Maybe it's someone close. Someone I've trusted. I open the spreadsheet again, letting the screen wash my face in cold light. My fingers hover above the trackpad, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat I can't control. I start tracing edits, linked to specific accounts, Marcus, Janine's, mine. The subtle formatting inconsistencies I noticed earlier seem intentional now, each misalignment a breadcrumb. I can almost feel the invisible hand trying to erase its path, just enough to confuse anyone who isn't paying attention. My eyes flick up as I remember a small interaction. Marcus' casual glance at my screen last Thursday. He smiled, said, "Looking over numbers again, Nia?" Something about the tone makes my chest tighten. Not mocking, not friendly guarded. There's a flicker of calculation in his eyes that I hadn't noticed at the time. I shift in my chair, tracing the outline of his last edits. Patterns begin to emerge, tiny, deliberate choices that wouldn't occur by accident. Janine comes to mind next. I recall her hovering near my desk on Tuesday, peering at my monitor under the guise of casual interest. I remember feeling a faint unease, shrugging it off at the time. Now, those moments feel deliberate, like tests. My heartbeat quickens as I think back to the shared drive, the way some files disappear and reappear without explanation, timestamps that don't match any workday. Someone has been creating layers of data, hiding them, reshaping the story behind the numbers. I lean closer to the screen, almost pressing my forehead against it. Each cell seems to shimmer with the secret I'm chasing. The edits are small, precise, almost playful in their subtlety, but they carry intent. Someone wanted this misalignment to remain unnoticed until the right moment. My throat tightens. I feel the weight of realization settle in. I reach for my notebook, flipping it open to a blank page. Pen in hand, I start jotting down patterns, connections, timelines. My handwriting is tight, deliberate. My mind works like a scalpel, cutting through layers of pretense, unearthing hidden structures. Each detail matters. The timing, the sequencing, the subtle formatting differences. A soft click from the corridor makes me glance up. No one. Just the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant whir of the copier. Yet my senses are heightened. I imagine their faces, their expressions when the numbers are finally laid bare. There's a quiet calculation in all of it, and the thought unsettles me. I notice another anomaly in the shared drive files, duplicated with slightly different datasets, some hidden in folders nobody uses, others barely touched. The subtlety is maddening. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing, how to mask intent under layers of routine activity. I pause, breath shallow, finger tracing the timeline of edits. The unease curls tighter in my chest, but so does resolve. I've trusted these colleagues, relied on them in ways that now feel naive. But if I'm going to understand this, I can't let friendship or comfort cloud my judgment. Every click, every keystroke, every hidden folder matters. I lean back, letting my eyes travel across the office. The glow of my monitor reflects off the window, faintly illuminating the empty desks around me. I feel the weight of suspicion settle over the team, and with it, the responsibility of knowing. I am no longer just observing numbers. I am piecing together actions, behaviors, choices. The quiet hum of the office, the blinking cursor, the soft tapping of my pen, they're all reminders that I am stepping into a delicate dance. One misstep, one misread intention, and I risk losing more than just data. I risk losing credibility. And then it hits me. Full and undeniable. I wasn't just uncovering numbers, I was uncovering intent. Each timestamp, each subtle shift, each hidden edit now speaks a language of motive. It's methodical, calculated, almost taunting. Someone had tried to control the story of this budget, and I had found the fingerprints. I take a deep, steadying breath. The room feels smaller now, the fluorescent light sharper, every shadow a witness to the quiet power I hold. My fingers hover over the keyboard, poised to act, to present, to expose. I am the one who has pieced together the puzzle, who has traced the invisible hand through layers of deception. And I know when the boardroom sees this, when the evidence is laid bare in calculated silence, no charm, no excuses, no deflection will hold up. Marcus' smirk will falter. Janine's easy laughter will falter. The patterns, the intent, the truth, they speak louder than any words ever could. I stand, smoothing my jacket, letting the tension roll off my shoulders in precise, measured increments. The shadow audit, the timeline, the cross-referenced anomalies, they are ready. The room awaits, unaware that the quiet reckoning has already begun. Tomorrow, everything will change. You won't believe what happens next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. The office is quieter than usual tonight, the kind of silence that makes every creak of the floorboards feel amplified. My chair squeaks as I shift, the sound too sharp in the emptiness, slicing through the still air. I minimize the main spreadsheet, watching it shrink into the corner of the screen like a secret I'm temporarily hiding from myself. Then I open a new workbook, a blank grid, clean, empty, waiting to hold the truth no one expects me to uncover. I name it Shadow Audit, a place where the real story can breathe, without eyes on it. I start pulling raw logs from the shared drive, each file opening with a crisp click that echoes through the dim office. The glow of my monitor reflects off the polished surface of my desk, casting a narrow strip of light across my hands. I spread the logs across the screen like puzzle pieces, timestamps, user IDs, edit histories, all aligned side by side in cold, objective rows. My hands move slowly, deliberately, almost too deliberately. I trace each line with the precision of someone who knows one overlooked detail could cost everything. I cross-check values, compare metadata, chase down stray anomalies. A faint thump breaks the silence. Footsteps. Somewhere in the corridor. I freeze mid-click. My breath stalls. My ears strain. The hallway is empty when I glance up, but the tension in my shoulders doesn't ease. One wrong move. One file left open too long. One curious colleague walking by at the wrong moment, and everything could collapse. I return to the screen, tapping gently on the keyboard, dragging cells into place, constructing formulas that will flag discrepancies automatically. Each correction feels like chiseling away at a block of marble, slow, controlled, revealing a shape underneath. I'm not sure I want to see yet. The Excel sheet grows layer by layer, filled with formulas, color-coded cells, and margin notes scrawled like whispered confessions in the workbook's edges. Tiny details begin emerging. The exact second an entry changed, a user ID attached to an edit they never should have made, formatting nudged, left by a pixel, numbers that don't follow their own logic. My eyes scan the columns back and forth, fast, then slow, like reading a language only my instincts understand. Downstairs, the printer hums. On another floor, a keyboard clacks quietly. The building feels alive with shadows, as if the walls themselves are leaning in, watching me dig. My pulse quickens. My grip tightens around the mouse. I will my hand not to shake, not now. Not when the truth is so close it's almost breathing against my neck. I pull a separate server log, layer it on top of the spreadsheet. Timestamp. Edit. User. Cross-reference. The discrepancies flicker into a pattern subtle at first, like faint ripples on water until the rhythm becomes too clean, too repeated, too intentional to be chance. This isn't error. This is choreography. I lean closer to the screen, breath shallow. The monitor's blue-white light reflects in my eyes, sharpening the numbers, sharpening my focus. I feel the adrenaline threading through my body, mixing with a slow, revolving dread. The fear of being discovered hovers at the edge of my thoughts, not enough to stop me, but enough to remind me I'm doing something that changes everything. Click, drag, scroll. My movements become surgical. I highlight anomalies in bold red, annotate user IDs in soft gray. Each entry feels like a silent accusation waiting to speak. My breath comes in measured bursts, syncing with the faint tapping of my keys. A floorboard creaks again. My shoulder tenses. I look up. Nothing. No one. Not yet. The screen pulls me back in. Each timestamp I align forms a clearer path. Each layer I uncover sharpens the shape of something hidden behind the budget narrative. A map is forming. A real one. Not of numbers, but of decisions. of choices, of intent. My stomach tightens as the truth starts revealing its edges. It's there, not fully, not comfortably, but undeniably taking shape. And the deeper I dug, the clearer the pattern became. A pattern someone didn't just create, someone depended on never being found. If you've ever been overlooked or underpaid, this part's for you. And if you feel that, hit that. The office feels smaller tonight, the dim fluorescent lights casting long shadows across the floor. My chair creaks softly as I shift closer to the monitor, fingers hovering above the keyboard. I pull up the latest raw budget file, the untouched version, unedited and unfiltered. It opens slowly, sitting on my screen like a truth waiting to be confronted. The moment the numbers appear, my chest tightens. The raw figures, stark, clean, unvarnished, don't match the spreadsheet I've been tracking for weeks. Manipulated entries jump out without mercy. My eyes scan quickly, then slowly, tracing each row with surgical precision. The discrepancies aren't subtle anymore. They shout. A familiar pulse throbs at my temples, the quiet, rising weight of betrayal settling into place. Every carefully crafted adjustment, every off-hour timestamp, every accidental formatting tweak, it suddenly aligns. This wasn't sloppiness. It was intent. I traced the inflated event budgets, the zeroed-out lines, the padded expenses, the erased reimbursements. Each deviation is methodical, intentional, calculated. My hands stiffen on the keyboard. I inhale slowly, letting the cold blue light wash over my face. The sting of betrayal is sharp, personal, heavier than I expected. I've trusted these people, worked late nights beside them, defended their deadlines, and yet here it is, proof that someone hid behind routine edits to manipulate the system. I pull up my shadow audit, the workbook I've built piece by piece over nights like this one. I cross-reference each timestamp, every altered figure, every subtle anomaly I noticed earlier. The lines converge. The narrative becomes undeniable. The quiet hum of the office presses in around me. My pulse quickens as the realization settles. These numbers are no longer data. They are evidence. Evidence of intent. Evidence of concealment. Evidence of fraud. My chest grows heavy, betrayal twined with the grim, steady satisfaction of finally seeing the truth. I lean back, eyes drifting across the screen. Each highlighted cell feels like a scar proof of deceit carved into the spreadsheet. Patterns that once looked random now speak clearly. Someone rewrote the budget for personal gain, hiding behind the illusion of normalcy. An old surge of adrenaline kicks in, sharpened, focused. This moment isn't about accusing anyone. Not yet. It's about understanding, seeing, knowing exactly what I'm up against. I let my gaze linger on the raw file, the unedited truth. Every number tells a story, and the story is brutally clear. The betrayal hangs over me like a shadow, pressing against my awareness. My shoulders tense, my fingers stiffen. But I can't look away. I trace the edits again, each one a breadcrumb leading deeper into the deception. And then, I see it. A subtle signature hidden in plain sight. A repeated user ID. A timestamp that always falls during lunch. A formatting choice I've seen before, specific to one person. My pulse spikes, part disbelief, part certainty. I lean in, eyes narrowing. The screen seems to glow brighter, the numbers sharpening, illuminating the truth just for me. This isn't error. This is orchestration. Someone wanted this budget to tell a different story, and they worked hard to bury the real one. My breath catches as I follow the trail to its origin. The layering, the timing, the precision. All of it converges. These aren't just edits. They are fingerprints, human, intentional, unmistakable. And now, I know exactly whose they are. And right there, was the name behind the fraud. The boardroom is colder than the office floors I'm used to. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones before you even notice it. I walk in quietly, carrying my laptop like armor, each step measured. The overhead lights glare slightly off the polished table, reflecting in the glass walls that make the room feel like a cage. Senior leadership is already there, murmuring softly, tension humming in the air. I set my laptop down, letting it open slowly. The cursor blinks patiently, unassuming, waiting for me to speak. My shadow audit sits ready, every formula, every timestamp, every highlighted cell poised to tell the story that's been building for weeks. The hum of the projector fan joins the low murmur of voices as eyes turn toward me. The room goes quiet as I begin. I've been reviewing the budget discrepancies, I say, my voice steady, calm, unshaken. I let the words hang for a moment, letting them feel the weight of them before moving on. I open the spreadsheet, dragging it to the projector screen. The glow fills the room, bathing everything in stark white and pale blue light. I start walking them through the findings. The raw logs, the manipulated entries, the mismatched timestamps, all laid bare. I don't accuse. I don't raise my voice. I let the data speak for itself. Each slide, each formula, each highlighted anomaly carries more power than any raised hand could. Marcus shifts in his seat, fingers tightening around his pen. Janine chews the inside of her cheek, avoiding eye contact. The room feels taut, stretched over the weight of my quiet presentation. I notice the subtle changes in their behavior, the micro gestures I've trained myself to read over years. Slight tremor in a hand, a tight jaw, a blink too long. They reveal more than words ever could. I click to the next sheet, showing the alignment between the raw budget and the shadow audit. The patterns, once hidden, now shine clearly. The deviations, once subtle, now scream in plain sight. My shoulders stay relaxed, my voice unshakable. The quiet power of truth fills the space, unspoken but undeniable. One of the executives leans forward, whispering to another. I catch fragments. Intentional, methodical. Can't deny it. Their words are confirmation, but I don't react. I remain composed, letting the room feel the weight of what they now know. Marcus finally shifts, a subtle tremor running through his shoulders, as if the weight of the room presses down physically on him. His spine straightens too rigidly, betraying the effort it takes to hold composure. The skin around his eyes tightens sharply, the fine lines deepening, telling a story his practiced smile never could. His fingers drum against the polished table, first slow, almost measured, then uneven, quickening as the tension coils tighter in his chest. Each tap punctuates the silence, a Morse code of anxiety that only someone attuned to nuance, someone who has read this room before, can decipher. He had always relied on charm, the kind that disarms, smooths edges, bends perception. Subtle manipulation had been his craft. A raised eyebrow here, a calculated smile there, a carefully placed word to shift focus and sway opinion. But charm is powerless against evidence that does not lie. Against time-stamped edits, cross-referenced logs, meticulous formulas, and patterns that converge into an undeniable story. Here, charm offers no refuge, no escape. Marcus blinks, slow and deliberate, a micro-gesture heavy with unspoken calculation. He hopes, perhaps, that hesitation can buy him a moment, that uncertainty in the room might distract from what he cannot deny. But the spreadsheet is merciless. The raw data glows bright and cold under the projector, each cell a spotlight revealing intent. Every deviation, every edit, every timestamp is a finger pointing, and there is no mistaking the ownership. He cannot smile his way out. He cannot charm his way past this. His fingers pause mid-drum, hovering over the table as if caught between motion and stillness. A bead of sweat glistens at the temple, almost imperceptible to anyone untrained, but to me it speaks volumes. He shifts again, subtly rocking in his seat, seeking comfort in movement but finding none. His lips press into a thin line, jaw tight, as if attempting to physically contain the anxiety that words cannot suppress. The careful facade of casual control is crumbling under scrutiny he cannot manipulate. He taps his pen now, a quiet, uneven rhythm that clashes with the deliberate pacing of my presentation. Each tap echoes against the low hum of the projector, each one a staccato punctuation of his internal collapse. The micro-gestures intensify. A subtle tightening of his shoulders, the flicker of a foot against the floor, the almost imperceptible shift of weight from one leg to the other. Every movement is a confession without words. His body betrays him more than his voice ever could. Finally, his gaze flits across the room, catching senior leadership in fleeting, desperate glances. The charm, the misdirection, the subtle manipulation he has wielded for years, it is gone. Every eye he meets is anchored to the undeniable facts laid bare in the spreadsheet. The meticulous cross-referencing, the formulas, the patterns they do not lie, he swallows. A shallow, almost silent motion as realization spreads across his expression. He cannot blink, speak, or maneuver his way out of accountability. His carefully constructed veneer has shattered, leaving raw unease and unmasked vulnerability in its wake. Marcus exhales, a quiet, sharp sound, the tension radiating in low waves across his form. The room holds him in the light of unflinching truth. He is present, but powerless. Every tap of his fingers, every microshift of his body, every blink uncoached, instinctual betrays the collapse of control he once wielded so effortlessly. Here, in the face of irrefutable evidence, Marcus is no longer a master of subtlety. He is simply human, caught entirely by the web of his own actions, exposed by data and the quiet precision of someone who knows how to see what others try to hide. Senior leadership exchanges glances, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and resolve. They ask questions, not of me, but of the data. My audit speaks louder than any accusation could. Every number, every hidden entry, every timestamp carries the weight of irrefutable truth. I keep my voice steady, each answer measured. I avoid the temptation to gloat or to react to Marcus' subtle panic. Quiet power isn't loud, it's control, calm, and the patience to let the evidence do the work. My gaze sweeps the room once, noting reactions without a word. I feel the shift in energy, a reversal that doesn't need fanfare. The tables have turned, the meeting stretches on. Questions come, data is scrutinized, explanations falter. Marcus' earlier confidence has dissolved into tension that radiates off him in low waves. Every attempt to redirect, to deflect, is met with the cold, calculated clarity of the audit. I notice the small things: a bead of sweat at the temple, a hand unconsciously curling into a fist, a breath caught mid-sentence. These subtle reactions confirm what the spreadsheet already told us. The deception has been uncovered. Quietly, methodically, the power has shifted. I don't celebrate. I don't make a sound. The room itself absorbs the truth, and in that absorption, the reversal is complete. As the meeting concludes, senior leadership makes clear the next steps: formal reviews, corrections, policy revisions. Marcus sits frozen, the reality sinking in. Janine watches from the corner, her expression unreadable, caught between relief and disbelief. I close my laptop slowly, the click of the lid resonating softly in the now silent room. My shoulders relax slightly, but my focus remains sharp. Quiet power isn't about noise or vindication. It's about letting the truth unfold on its own. letting the room feel it in their bones, and knowing that the moment of action has arrived, even if silently. I stand, straighten my jacket, and let my gaze sweep across the boardroom one last time. Marcus' eyes flick toward me, a mixture of fear and recognition in them. No words are exchanged, none are needed. The weight of the audit, the evidence, and the reversal itself hangs in the air like a tangible thing. Step back toward the door, letting the room digest what just happened. Each footstep echoes in the quiet hallway outside, soft punctuation marking the upheaval I've orchestrated without uttering a single shout. The stillness hangs heavy, the kind that presses against your chest and makes every heartbeat feel louder than usual. Tomorrow, everything would change. The office smells faintly of fresh coffee, polished wood, and the lingering tang of paper and electronics. A quiet calm has replaced the tension that had clung to these walls like fog for weeks. I walk slowly past the rows of desks, fluorescent lights reflecting softly off idle monitors, bouncing faintly off the polished edges of keyboards and mousepads. The spreadsheets I once scrutinized in isolation now lie corrected, aligned, transparent. No hidden tweaks, no misaligned totals. The system has been cleaned, audited, fortified. Every number tells the truth. Every log entry can be traced back to its origin. Integrity has been restored. I pause, my fingers brushing over a monitor, letting the glow illuminate my hand. The new policy document is open. Budget transparency guidelines. Not just words, but a framework now breathing life into this office. Rules for accountability. Clear procedures for audits. Protections for those who raise questions. Integrity isn't optional, it's embedded. I scroll down, reading the sections again, absorbing each line. Each bullet point, each bolded heading, carries the weight of painstaking nights spent cross-referencing logs, tracing anomalies, rebuilding order from the chaos of hidden manipulations. Leaning back in my chair, I feel the weight of weeks settle into something lighter, almost surreal. Relief, but also pride, not just for myself, but for the proof that diligence, quiet courage, and meticulous attention to detail can ripple through a system, reshaping it in ways that few will ever see, but everyone will feel. I remember the late nights, the hum of the HVAC, the cold blue glow of spreadsheets under dim lights, the soft rhythmic tap of my pen, the deliberate clicks of my trackpad as I traced edits one by one. Each moment had felt isolating, almost punishing, and yet those hours, those minute actions, had forged this moment, this transformation. I walk past the team, now resuming their routines. Marcus avoids my gaze, a subtle acknowledgement flickering in his eyes, a quiet concession that the rules have changed, that the game has shifted. Janine and the others glance at me from their corners, expressions tinged with relief and a grudging respect. No one speaks loudly. No one celebrates with fanfare. Quiet power doesn't need noise. The presence of integrity is louder than words. It moves, slowly but undeniably, through the room, changing dynamics without a single raised voice. Opening the shadow audit one last time, I review the formulas, the logs, the cells, where anomalies once hid like ghosts in the data. Every calculation aligns perfectly now. The numbers are no longer a source of suspicion, they are a reflection of fairness, clarity, and accountability. Each highlighted discrepancy that had sent my pulse racing now lies corrected, transparent, and verifiable. I trace a few lines with my finger. Precision, order, justice in every cell. I exhale slowly, letting the release carry relief and resolve. My fingers hover over the keyboard a moment longer before closing the document. Around me, the office hums softly. Ordinary yet transformed by unseen work. Every corner, every monitor, every spreadsheet, now carries the weight of truth. Standing, stretching lightly, I feel tension dissolve from my shoulders. Outside, the city lights sparkle. Indifferent, yet steady, a reminder that the world continues while battles like this are waged quietly inside office walls. I allow a small private smile. Justice does not arrive from hope alone. It requires precision, vigilance, courage, and the quiet persistence to see truth to its conclusion. Justice needs data and courage, I whisper, letting the words settle like a benediction over the system, over the painstaking hours now vindicated. They are simple words, yet heavy with meaning: the late nights, the isolation, the meticulous calculations, the relentless tracing of anomalies. The city hums below, unaware of the battles fought in offices like this. Yet within these walls a story has been told. Vigilance, integrity, and subtle strength have reshaped outcomes, corrected wrongs, restored order. Power need not shout to be felt. It can ripple quietly, irrevocably, through every cell, every line, every number now laid bare. I step out of the office, the soft click of the door punctuating the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The weight is gone, but the lesson remains. The unseen labor, the quiet courage, and the precision of thought have reshaped an entire system. Every formula, every audit trail, every spreadsheet now tells the story of diligence and moral clarity. The hallway stretches ahead, silent and empty, yet brimming with possibility. Each step echoes like a quiet drumbeat of change. Outside, the city continues, indifferent, unaware, but inside, a small revolution has occurred. A system has been restored. Truth has been illuminated. I have walked the line between observation and action, and emerged not loud, not vindictive, but steady, calm, and quietly victorious. I pause at the stairwell, glancing back at the office one last time. The glow from monitors reflects faintly against the polished floors. Desks, once marked by suspicion, now radiate order. The hum of life, once tense and restrained, now moves with subtle confidence. This is the invisible shift, the quiet correction of imbalance. My work is done, yet its impact will unfold, silently and deliberately, in the routines and decisions of everyone who returns here. My fingers tighten slightly on the railing as I descend, savoring the subtle weight of triumph that does not need recognition. Integrity, I realize, is contagious. When it is embedded, it reshapes the culture of a space more effectively than any announcement, any reprimand, or any grand gesture. I carry that knowledge forward as the building opens into the night, the city sprawling endlessly beyond, unaware but permanent. Every light in every office window flickers like a heartbeat, a quiet echo of the work done here, the lessons learned, the truths revealed. And in that moment, I understand. Justice, clarity, and integrity are not fleeting. They are constructed, layer by layer, cell by cell, formula by formula, until the system itself bends toward truth. I step into the night. The weight has lifted. The lesson remains. And the echo of quiet power will persist long after the doors close behind me. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this story. If it spoke to you, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more stories that heal, inspire, and remind us who we are. For every Black woman told to stay quiet, speak anyway.